Today we're diving into a journey filled with faith, tough choices, and powerful lessons about responsibility and spiritual listening. The character of the day? Eli, the priest of Shiloh. He may not be as famous as David or Moses, but trust me, Eli's story is one of those that makes you pause and reflect on life, purpose, and the paths we choose to follow. So, let's get into it. A simple tabernacle in Shiloh, candles burning, the smell of incense in the air, and there he is, Eli, already old, his face marked by time, sitting in his chair watching the flow of offerings and prayers. He was the high priest of Israel, the spiritual leader, the man who carried the weight of maintaining the connection between the people and God. That's no small role. Eli was respected, experienced, and always there, ready to guide the people. But not everything was perfect. Behind the wisdom and authority was a tired heart and a family out of control. That's where things start to get heavy. Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were also priests. But instead of honoring the family name, they abused their power. Think of spiritual corruption. They stole portions of sacrifices, disrespected traditions, and even got involved with the women who served at the tabernacle. And what did Eli do about it? Not much. Almost nothing. He did try to talk to his sons, yes. But he lacked firmness. He lacked boldness. He lacked the strength to put God above his own family. And this is where Eli's story begins to slide toward a darker path. While Eli's house was declining, a new character steps in. A woman named Hannah, who was barren and constantly praying, had her request answered by God. She had a son and dedicated him to serve in the tabernacle. And that boy, Samuel, grew up under Eli's eyes. He slept near the Ark of the Covenant, serving the Lord from a very young age. And it was there, in that sacred atmosphere, that something powerful happened. One night, the silence is broken. Samuel hears a voice calling, "Samuel." He gets up and runs to Eli. "Did you call me, Eli?" "Half asleep." "No, go back to bed." This happens 3 times until Eli finally realizes it's God calling the boy. And there, in the middle of the night, a little boy hears the voice of God for the first time. But the message was heavy. God warned that he was going to judge Eli's house. Why? Because Eli knew what his sons were doing and didn't confront them seriously enough. Time passes, and God's word is fulfilled. The Philistines attack. The people of Israel, desperate, bring the Ark of the Covenant to the battlefield like a lucky charm. And guess who was there? Hophni and Phinehas, Eli's sons. But it didn't help. Israel lost, badly. The Ark was captured. And Eli's 2 sons? They died in battle. When Eli received the news, he was 98 years old, blind, sitting at the city gate. First, he hears that the army has fallen. Then, that his sons are dead. And finally, that the Ark of the Covenant has been taken. That last blow was too much. The old priest fell backward off his chair, broke his neck, and died. It was a tragic end to a leadership that started with faith, but ended marked by passivity. But what do we learn from this? Eli's story is a quiet warning about the danger of spiritual complacency. He was a man of God, yes. But when the moment called for boldness, he chose passivity. When he should have set things straight, he chose tolerance. When God required priority, he chose the comfort of keeping family peace. But not everything ends in tragedy. In the middle of it all, a new generation rises through Samuel, a boy who learned to hear God's voice from an early age. Samuel continued what Eli started but couldn't finish, and that shows that even in the middle of human failure, God keeps working. And what about us? How many times do we avoid confronting what's wrong because we're afraid of losing comfort, acceptance, or peace? How many times does God speak, like he did to Samuel, and we don't even notice? Are we being like Eli, watching everything fall apart slowly, without the courage to act? Or are we willing to be like Samuel, even young in the faith, attentive to God's voice and ready to obey, even when the message is tough? Eli's story is intense, real, and deeply human. It's about a man who had faith but got lost in inaction. It's about how, Even when leaders fail, God raises new instruments, and it's a reminder to us, hearing God's voice is essential, but responding to it with courage is what truly changes destinies. If you enjoyed this journey through the story of Eli, you know what to do. Share it with someone who needs this message. And remember, sometimes, God's silence isn't absence. We're just not paying attention.